Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Roma Press live stream. We just got started as the Italian national team got started with their match against Moldova. So I totally understand if some people prefer to switch to that. Although I really I'm not sure how to feel about this situation. I'm not sure exactly how enthusiastic people can be about this Italy national team after their display against Norway, which sealed the fate of Luciano Spalletti. So we are going to be probably there's going to be more people coming in a bit later on. So let's see how we do. In the meantime, thank you so much. Hi, Richard. Thank you for joining us all the way from New Mexico. Appreciate it, buddy. Um, this live stream obviously is a bit of a reaction to the latest news. I'm sure there is going to be a lot of talk, a lot of excitement in the comments because of some recent news. But first of all, I just wanted to welcome everybody. Hi, Vincent. Well, happy not to be Italian right now. I mean, listen, we might be shut out from the third consecutive World Cup. Like that's you know that's pretty crazy. Like there is an entire generation of Italian. Like there's people in Italy who are of age and who haven't seen Italy perform in the World Cup or can't recollect seeing Italy uh, play in the World Cup. It's crazy. If you look at the last lineup that Italy had against Costa Rica, 2014, something like that. Costa Rica. Yep, they were playing against Costa Rica. They got eliminated. It was Balotelli. I think Cassano was still there. Um, Marquisio. So that's a long time ago. Hey everybody. Okay, ciao Andy. Wishing you a nice evening from Vienna. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your wishes from Austria. Joey. Hey Joey. What's up? I can't bear to watch the train wreck that is the Italian national team, says Tony. Tony, thank you for entrusting me with this because this is the reason why I did this live stream. I'm not watching. I watched bits and pieces of the match against Norway, really, and just looking at the entire game plan of Luciano Spalletti for that match was hoof the ball, try to hoof the ball to Raspadori and Retegui, without taking into account that the Norwegian national team has pretty tall defenders, very reminiscent of what happened with when Italy played against Sweden and failed to qualify to the World Cup with Giampiero Ventura at the helm. Joey, hope all is well with John, following Roma since 2006 and listening since 2018. So great, because that's exactly when John and I started. Yeah, Joey, about that, we are looking to come back to do the podcast by the end of this month. That's the news that I can give. John's doing better. And hopefully we can get back together soon. But the podcast should be up and running by the end of this month. So keep your fingers crossed. This hasn't been an ideal situation. Trust me, I know it. I know that it's a big miss and it's a big absence not to have the podcast, and it was definitely disappointing to not be able to share the season finale with John. I'm very sorry for the listeners, but we hope to be up and running soon. So thank you so much for your patience, for bearing with us. And in the meantime, obviously, you can also get access to some extra content by going to our Patreon. And if you become a paid subscriber, $5 plus, that's you get access to extra content. So thank you so much for your patience. I expect the comments tonight to be a bit heated because I think we are dealing with two situations that may not sit right with a lot of people. Now, let's get it out of the way. The thumbnail shows Angeliño. Angeliño, there is talk of Angeliño. In the meantime, just want to first of all just say greetings from Italy, if from Germany. Andy, thanks for keeping us updated. Thank you so much. thank you guys for your support. I come on here and I try to make sense, but it's really it's thanks to you that we can keep this going, no matter what. And it's not been easy, not been easy, almost 3 months. Yes, as I was saying, Angeliño obviously is on the thumbnail, so that means that we're going to talk about Angeliño, because this is a player who has been important for us for the past year and a half. This is a player who joined Roma when expectations were really low, kind of surprised everyone with Daniele De Rossi still in charge. Roma then made his signing permanent for a laughable fee of about 5 million, given how good Angelino has been for you. Goes on to have a pretty good season. I mean, statistically, there's one thing that we know about Roma and their fullbacks is that they don't score goals. So Angelino has a couple of goals to his name. He's got some assists to his name, but still, statistically, based on how much he's played, maybe in another setup, in another system, he could have done much better. Just from that point of view, that I'm not saying that he hasn't had a good season. He's had a really good season, and I was grateful to have him on the pitch for us. At the same time, at the same time, this is a player that you would figure he might leave us at some point. This is a fullback who's nearing 30 years of age. This is a player who joined exactly for a very low fee, a player who maximized his value this past year. If Roma were going to give up a player in this off season, might as well have been him. Unfortunately, that's how it goes, guys. We are likely to get a fee upwards of 25 million. Those are the latest reports, including bonuses. Should be a little bit more than 25 million. In the meantime, just want to say again, Germanicus, thank you so much for being here with us again. Ciao, Andy. Ciao, guys. Also, Damir, give a like, guys. Yes, give a like. It means a lot to just give a like so that more people can join. This can generate more viewers, and so just give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. If we're speaking about 25 million for Angeliño and we can get Gozens as a replacement, I'm a big fan of the deal. The rest of the money should be used to secure VR and other key players. It would be wonderful if it worked that way. And I see a lot of people say, oh, they should try and get more than that for Angeliño, and they should reinvest all of it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. With the financial fair play, you have to generate revenue, and you have to generate capital gain, and that unfortunately then is not always up to you to reinvest. So a lot of that money will not go toward another signing. We have to see how this situation develops. Obviously, it's never good when you start off the off season with just news of players leaving. But unfortunately, this is the Roma way, and it's been the Roma way since we signed the settlement agreement a while back. Vic, thank you so much for being here with Vic. Thank you. And thanks for everybody else for joining us. Why is Roma playing with VR's contract? I think he deserves at least 3 million a year contract. Damir, as I say, in these situations, negotiations, world of football, a lot of back and forth, a lot of egos at play, a lot of egos. Players have egos, executives have egos, agents have egos. Everybody has their own agenda. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. Everybody has to hold an advantage over everyone else. And this is the situation, I think, that is affecting these negotiations between Roma and SVR. SVR has a lot of people around him. A lot of agents are working for him. There's definitely also people that do not want him to be at Roma. There's definitely also people who are looking out for his best interest, trying maybe to see what other teams are willing to offer. Roma can, for the time being, obviously, they can only go so far. So sometimes it's not as easy as writing down a number on a piece of paper, showing it to SVR, and goes, okay, fine, 3 million, 3.5, whatever it is. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. You have a you have a wage budget. You have money that you can spend on players and their wages, and that money is limited. And sometimes you may have to work with limited finances. Sometimes you have to get rid of heavy contracts in order to then be able to exactly invest it in someone like VR. But Roma are and have never been the club that was always able to get some endless cash out and give it out to players just like that. That's why the decision to renew Pizzilli and also do it where he incrementally every year he gets a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, upwards of 2 million, appeared crazy to me. Because I did not expect that to happen for Roma. But obviously, the latest news with regards to VR is that he is still in talks with Roma. There is obviously a lot of interest from other clubs, from the Premier League, from Bundesliga. Um, but this is a player who has exactly a lot of people around him. These people talk to a lot of journalists. These people give out information to some. They keep some information for later. Um, right now, the latest is that negotiations are still underway. Roma, Ranieri, Sviar, they're all at work to find an agreement. Um, we got Danvesda. Just when things were looking good, Claudio might leave. My. Yeah. So this is the second thing that I wanted to mention. So before getting to Ranieri, I wanted to just sort of again talk about Angeliño, because this is a player that joined Roma, and I think gave new life to Roma under De Rossi. Definitely, I mean that is a player who, for the kind of money that we paid for him, he surprised us, and he's been so consistent. He's been so available for Roma. You look at the games he's played; he was unstoppable. So if you're going to lose him, you're going to lose an important player. But mind you, again, an important player in a certain context. What I mean by this is he was important in a Roma team that did not do very well, in a Roma team that underachieved, and obviously he contributed to a Roma team that then turned the season around. But still, there are no guarantees that Angeliño might have done well under Gasperini. Some think, and like I initially thought, maybe this is the kind of guy who will benefit from Gasperini, but clearly not. There's too many links to other players in his positions. Someone already mentioned Robin Gosens. There's too many articles suggesting that Gasperini went out of his way to ask for additional fullbacks because he does not consider someone like Angeliño compatible with what he wants his fullbacks to do in a 3-4-3 system. And obviously you can take it as you wish. Okay, let me just address this, Jerry. Do you know La Fuente Cope social media influencers there? We're looking at Garnacho. Jerry, ignore, please. This is a warning to everybody. If you have a Twitter account or a Facebook page, you're not an insider. You're not a journalist. Don't go trusting these people for news. I so many times you see these people that on Twitter have thousands of followers and on Facebook, and everybody's listening and they're doing live streams and they're releasing exclusives. These people do not have sources. Do not trust them. You already can't trust a lot of the media around. So at least go after the accredited guys. Do not go after anonymous Twitter users. If Claudio leaves, I wouldn't be surprised if Gasperini resigned. He wouldn't be here if Claudio wasn't at Roma. That's a valid point, then Vesda. Let me get back to it later, okay? Um, I heard there is talks to sell VR to Milan for 20 million plus makers. What do you think about that? I think it's crap. I mean, that's one report. I know what it is because I translated it. It's from calciomercato.com. Yes. And it's only a theory. The article said they're thinking of, obviously, if you're a journalist and you know that Roma wants sound makers, um, On the other hand, you also know that Milan are looking for a goalkeeper. You put two and two together and you do. Milan look at Sviar. Milan know that Roma wants Salmakers, so they're going to try and offer Salmakers in a package deal. It's very easy. I'm not saying that Milan are not interested in Sviar. Milan are about to sell Magnan to Chelsea, so obviously they're going to need a goalkeeper. Sviar has had a brilliant year in Serie A, so naturally everybody's looking at him. But come on, and I doubt Roma would even consider anything less than 40, 50 million in cash for the goalkeeper, best Serie A goalkeeper of the season. Are you kidding me? Okay. With Angeliño leaving, I wish we could have kept Dal. Again, no guarantee that Dal can impress under Gasperini. What I mean is, a lot of the decisions I think leading up to Gasperini's appointment were already done with Gasperini in mind. Dal also is a player who did not want to return to Roma. He wanted to stay at Benfica. He had found his footing at Benfica. Wanted to stay at Benfica. And also, we're talking about a player who has, I think, he made one appearance for Roma, final 20 minutes of one of those terrible losses under Ivan Juric, I believe. I don't remember now. How many live streams you have left by the end of June? I don't know. No, we hope to be back once the podcast is back. I hope to. I mean, the point of the podcast is also exactly to. I would balance it out, with the podcast. So hopefully, if we are back and running by the end of this month, we should be good to go. Our good friend Jude, ciao Andy, tuning in 6-7 minutes late. I watched two good films this weekend: Phoenician Scheme and The Bad Lieutenant with Nick Cage. Really recommend it. Of course, I saw. It's crazy. All those wide shots of iguanas that Herzog takes, and Nicolas Cage on coke. It's fantastic. And I also saw the Phoenician Scheme earlier today. I just came back from the cinema. Great Wes Anderson movie. Although I still prefer Asteroid City from 2 years ago. Fantastic. I have to go, guys. Okay, the night shift. Thank you so much, Demir. Take care. Thank you. Italy Italy are depressing. Yes, well, exactly. That's why we are tuning in for this very cheerful live stream. Unfortunately, with Roma, there is always a price where if an offer is made, we have to take it. It's not enjoyable. Always set the clock back, but it's reality. Well, listen, for the last couple of years, we've been able to avoid that. Meaning, since the Friedkins arrived, really, we've been able to avoid losing valuable pieces. We've sold guys like Ibanez. Ibanez was an important player for us. We sold those guys when we realized that maybe in the long term it's not functional. And I do think that someone like Angeliño, you do not sell him at this point uh, if you haven't consulted Gasperini on it. So if Angeliño goes, it's pretty clear to me that he goes with Gasperini's blessing. If he goes with Gasperini's blessing, it means that Roma are already looking for a replacement that is suitable, that is more in line with what Gasperini hopes to have at his disposal when relying on his 3-4-3 system. Why did they sell him for so cheap? Why didn't we keep Dal? Again, Dal is a player who did not want to return to Roma, so that's out of Roma's hands. And also, it's a player who clearly did not feel like the club are counting on him. I mean, you're signed on a permanent deal, and your only appearance is like 10 minutes, and then you're sent out on loan with a buy option. So already it means that the club is looking to sell you. Roma obviously keep 40% sell-on clause on Dal. So if he does well at Benfica will certainly know how to sell him for a lot of money. Also, again, guys, let's be realistic here, okay? Please, I saw some people demanding that Roma sell Angeliño for 35, 50 million euros. Guys, let's be realistic, okay? Let's hold it hold it. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, because otherwise we have the best team in the world. I mean, if we are selling Angeliño for 50 million, then we might as well be, in the Champions League. We're not. There is a reason for that. Angeliño's good, but if you can get anywhere above 25 million euros, you're good. You're good. That's a huge, massive capital gain. It's very important for your finances. Great. You move along, you find the replacement, you get the replacement. End of story. With Angeliño sold, Saud may get a proper chance. Let's see. I think that's quite optimistic. The summer is still young, although yes, obviously Saud is still there. He was linked with some clubs in France, but right now he's still at Roma, and there hasn't been much talk of him leaving. Maybe later on, let's see. And obviously, let's see, maybe Zaleski. Well, yes, it's true. Zaleski, obviously, now that's another story worth talking about. Maybe Zaleski will come back to Roma, and we will give him yet another chance. Now that's probably more depressing than anything else we're going to talk about this evening, because it's true. Filippo Biafora reported it, that Inter, with the managerial switch, Simone Inzaghi liked Zaleski. He asked for him in January when Zaleski joined the Inter on loan. But now with Kivu being appointed Inter's manager, the cards on the table have changed. Zaleski doesn't look like he's going to stay at Inter. That's a big blow for Roma. That's 6.5 million off the table. Inter still have time. They have 9 more days to trigger his buy option. But if they haven't done it right now, I doubt that they will go for it. Zaleski still has 1 more year on his contract because he extended it right before leaving. So that will be a headache. That will be a major headache for Roma. Damn, I'm late. Koa, no worries, man. I remember when Angeliño joined, John was so happy we got a player who could actually cross the ball. I was very happy, and Angeliño showed up and showed out. He did very well. And finally, we had a guy who could cross the ball, who could take powerful shots, who was a threat on that flank. So I'm not hiding the fact that we are losing a player who was important for us. I do think that I'm not going to cry about him. I'm not going to spill tears about him. If you ask me, are you going to be sadder if Roma lose VR? Sure, that's a player that I will be desperate about, but not Angeliño. I think in that position, and with Gasperini and the kind of work he's done with fullbacks, ranging from Kolasinac to Zappacosta, the latest ones, for example. I don't doubt his expertise. I don't doubt his opinion in the matter. If he gives his blessing for Angeliño to leave, then it means that we can find someone who can be just as good, if not better, for him and can work for him. We gotta give Gasperini chance to build a team to his needs. Yes, Juan, absolutely. Yes, Zaleski is the answer. Not, yeah, no, absolutely. Zaleski is not the answer. Good God. Is Radio Romanista a valid source? I mean, valid as radios go. I don't know. Il Romanista. As radios go, who else? The latest one, Radio Mana Mana Sport, is well, depends on who's speaking, because again, radio is a radio station. The journalist doing the reporting is another thing. So yeah, we have to differentiate. There's also Rete Sport. Rete Sport sometimes can be hit or miss. They were hit with Gasperini. They were miss on some other occasions. It works like that. The thing is, with Robin Gosens, he's injury prone. Yeah, well, he's a bit old, and I don't know. I don't really think that if Roma were to go after Angeliño's replacement, they would get someone who's older than Angeliño, who's way past his prime. just for the sake of reuniting him with Gasperini. I think the media are taking a lot of liberty with some of the stories that are going around. The latest one being Roma interested in Gianluca Scamacca, who hasn't played in a long, long time. I hope we can get Agustin Jai from Palmeiras or even John Locumi from Bologna. How many non-EU spots do we have free for this window? Oh my God. I have to get ready with this information. I don't have it with me, man. I'm sorry, Vic. If someone has this information, please put it down. Um, but yes, Roma's interest in Lukumi is concrete. So that's a player that Roma are looking at. You know, Bologna are eager to sell him for some money because he's entering the final year on his contract. So Lokumi is a concrete target. Jai also apparently, well, those are news from Brazil, so I can't talk about how credible they are because Lokumi is a piece of news that was given by Il Tempo, so that's a source that I trust. Jai comes from Palmeiras. 21 years old, exciting talent. I think he's got 4 more years on his contract, so I can't imagine him going for less than 20 million. Why are we selling Angeliño? He's one of our solid players. We don't have a replacement. Yes, because we will get a replacement. It's how it works. It's how it works. You have to, guys. You have to sell before buying. It's unfortunately it's a rule. Look at what Milan are doing. Milan are selling players. You know why? Because then they're gonna try and buy replacements. Okay, so they're selling reindeers. They're selling Magnan. They're gonna sell likely Teo Hernandez, and then they're gonna go out and look for players to sign. It's how it works. If you're a club who's working with limited finances, so Milan, like us, they missed out on Champions League, they missed out on European football. Um, Roma are under financial fair play, guys. Ranieri said we have to get ready. We have to get ready for a challenging summer. I never expected for Roma to announce players before announcing players who are leaving. So Dal and Solefe have already left. Angeliño looks to be next in line. I would love if Roma were in a position where they can just buy a player and then get rid of the player that needs to be gone. But unfortunately, that's not the case for this Roma. Maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years. Uh, oh my God, I finally made it to the live stream. Hello, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much, Mega. Thank you so much. Welcome, 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 welcome. If Claudio coaches Italy, does that mean he must cut ties with Roma, or can he coach and remain in the Roma organization? Okay, so I figure we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna move on to this topic, which really burns me. You know, again, Angeliño, I'm sorry to see him leave, but you know what? I've seen so many players leave. It's fine. Like he's been good, but I never expected him to be the kind of player who lasts. Especially if he gets a pretty rich contract from Saudi, which I assume he did, then that's a type of player who's not gonna say no to that. I never imagined that Angeliño would last longer than say 2 seasons at Roma. Not that kind of guy. But what really burns me is this Ranieri situation. This situation with Ranieri burns me like hell. This situation with Ranieri annoys me a lot because for him to, I mean, again, listen, Ranieri, and I paused because because there's talk about Angeliño, the deal between Roma and Al Hilal is slowing down. So it doesn't seem like yeah, the deal is still not complete for Angeliño to Al Hilal. So Al Hilal are still trying to convince Teo Hernandez. Teo Hernandez still has not made his decision, and this prevents the deal for Angeliño to be completed. So, hey, you know what? This live stream might be completely useless. Good news. No, but anyway. Um, With Ranieri, it really burns me because the thing about Ranieri is he brought credibility to what Roma were trying to do with Gasperini. As someone pointed out here, you do not get Gasperini if Ranieri is not here. He's the man who calls him. He's the man who convinces him to join Roma. He's the man who tells Gasperini, "Listen, this is a valid project. You have to be here. I'll support you. Doesn't matter if the fans are not very fond of you to start the season with. I'm going to be here. I'm going to protect you, and I'm going to work with you." So Ranieri acting as a guarantor, Ranieri really being, brought in to this role as senior advisor, as someone who is vital for the operation of the whole club. And you sell your project this way to Gasperini, you sell your project this way to the fans. The Friedkins just made a statement. They released a statement where they reiterated Ranieri's central role in how the club will operate for the next couple of years, at least until his contract supposedly expires. And now, with this thing with with the Italian national team, Ranieri even considering this job for me is a great disappointment, because it means that you're undermining the credibility of the project, and that is not cool, because we've all heard Ranieri, repeat time and time again, "I'm done with coaching. I'm done with coaching. I want to do what's best for Roma. I want to be there for Roma. I'm done with coaching. I'm done with coaching," so many times. And now, listen, I understand it's great excitement to be offered the kind of position that you've always been dreaming about. But you're 73 years old, okay, guy? Like, realize that you're not the future of the national team. Ranieri realized that he's not the future of Roma. So why can't he realize that he's not the future of a national team that is rotten at the foundation because of a rotten system, because of a rotten organization that is Fiji? You're not going to be the man who's going to change any of this, regardless if Italy qualified to the World Cup or not. What would be your favorite Angeliño replacement? No, let's not get. I'll leave the naming names to you guys. I'm not going to start discussing the replacements. It's still not that time of the year. Our transfer window opens in a few weeks from now. This is only for the clubs that are focusing on the Club World Cup. That's why Al Hilal are in such a hurry to sign him, because tomorrow is the transfer deadline for the clubs who are registered to play in the Club World Cup. Roma are not. So thank God. Thank God. So I don't have to talk about transfers. I already write enough about those. Knowing how the Friedkins operate, I doubt any of the names on the newspaper will actually happen. Juan, that's a very, I think, respectful guess. I mean, it's their modus operandi to keep quiet. Zaleski should be one being sold. Solar, Angeliño, Kone. Who the hell is Solar? Sule and Baldanzi should be the core. As VR, is it VR? Solar. Yes, I mean, well, one of Roma's priorities is to sell Zaleski. Make no mistake about it. If Zaleski comes back, it's just temporary, and there's definitely no future in Zaleski staying at Roma. This is a guy who's been pushing to make his transfer to Inter permanent since day one. He does not want to be at Roma. Roma do not want to be anywhere near around Zaleski and his entourage. There's bad blood there. I believe that Baldanzi will thrive in the Gasperini formation. Yes, a lot of people have been pointing it out. I'm curious to see. I don't know. Let's see. I think Angeliño's physical side limited that being the main reason. Could be someone pointed out he's too short. Maybe it's as simple as that. Any updates on signing Igor Paixão, or is too expensive in a fantasy? Well, I mean, considering that Feyenoord will probably ask something like 35, 40 million, I do not, and also there's a lot of competition. I do not think that's. I doubt, guys, we will see any signings of that caliber, in the sense of that financial range. Don't expect to see Roma splurging the kind of money they splurged the last season. Again, Ranieri warned us, please listen. It's not going to be an easy summer. Did Hermoso ever get bought by Leverkusen? Is he staying at Roma? He didn't seem too happy. Didn't really make an impact in Rome. No, Hermoso was on loan, and he dislocated his shoulder pretty early on in his spell at Bayer Leverkusen, and they sent him back. So he's back. He's back. But let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see if Gasperini is ready to evaluate him in preseason. But this is a player, yes, that I don't think ever gelled with the team. So 25 million for Angeliño, I'm okay with, but do not sell Zviar Indica. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, guys. We have to, you have to make decisions. Time to sign Zappacosta. Hey, mind you, Zappacosta has been really working wonders for Gasperini. Hi, will Salmaker stay at Roma? We do not know, Miha. This is something that not even the player himself knows. The player himself was not able to find an agreement with Roma, so Roma did not even have Salmaker's agreement to keep him ahead of next season. So he wanted more money than Roma were willing to offer him. Milan wanted more money than what Roma were willing to offer. So right now, that's the situation. I do not see Salmakers being right now the top priority for Roma. I would let Zviar go for 100 mil and Dika for 60 mil. It's very. I love how we all like to change these numbers. These numbers are just numbers for us. Yes. No. Wow. Okay. God, jeez. Poor Gasperini. So Gasperini was just interviewed by Sky Sport, and when I was asked about Ranieri and his potential involvement with the national team, he said, "Let's see. He must be the one to decide. He must see what he feels, if he feels up to it." Oh, that's not good. What a pain in the ass, man! What a pain in the ass, this situation. It's really I don't know. I do not know how you make it credible, how you give validity to this project without Ranieri. Now, I know there is this option of the FIGC are offering Ranieri the position of technical commissioner, and they're also allowing him to stay on as senior advisor to Roma because they figure, being the coach of the national team is a part-time job, just like being an advisor to Roma is a part-time job. And yet at the same time, it doesn't sit right with me. For Ranieri to go on for so long talking about how he wants to focus on Roma, and now you would be, because listen, being the coach of a national team, sure, is a part-time job, as in you stand on the touchline, once every 2-3 months. But you have to work. I mean, you have to go around the country. You have to talk to people. You have to scout. You have to go from club to club. You have to view the progress being made by other teams. Also, isn't that a conflict of interest? I do not know. I mean, it's just the whole thing just does not sit right with me. Because in my opinion, someone like Ranieri and someone who clearly is exactly a guarantee to Gasperini. Gasperini came because he thought, oh, I'm gonna be able to rely on Ranieri, a beloved figure. I'm gonna be able to rely on him. And now what? Now Ranieri's like, well, maybe I'll be gone half the week, and maybe I'll be gone half the month. Maybe I'll be there, maybe not. Who knows? It's not cool. It's not cool. Luke, how much Roma would spend in the summer? You think? I do not know, Luke. This is something that nobody knows. Usually you get the media trying to more or less make sense of, oh, the Friedkins have given Roma this X amount of budget. Roma will need to generate X amount of revenue, but not this year. That has not been the case. Nobody knows anything right now. Let's see. Cristante is still better, and under Gasperini, he can still become better. Can't say the same about Pellegrini, though. The fact that he has the captain's badge is laughable. I mean, it may soon change given that he's out until the start of next season. Probably we'll see Mancini grow into that captain role. Let's see if also, the dynamics within the locker room will change with Gasperini there. Uh, we have so much deadwood into the team. Now we don't. Listen, I've been here a long time. Trust me, guy. You do not know the meaning of deadwood until you realize that we had Ante Choric and Bianda sitting on our books. So this situation is still good. We have, yeah, sure, we have Marash Kumbula, we have Evrima Darbo, we have Mario Hermoso. But this is the work that Tiago Pinto did to thin out the squad overall is very impressive. It's no. This is nothing. This is a holiday. Listen, if Claudio Ranieri leaves, he's completely unaware about Gasperini joining because of him. No, he's not. But also, he doesn't leave. Like what we're hearing now is that Ranieri might consider the job with Italy uh, along with the job as senior advisor to the club, which, in my opinion, is total bullshit. It's not. It doesn't. It's not really helpful. You have to be there, you have to be present, you have to give your full focus to the team. I mean, what are we talking about? Ranieri is in the discussion rooms with agents, he's there with Ghisolfi scouting players, he is there in the meeting with Gasperini, talking about preseason, talking about the players that need to be at his disposal. how can you how can you distribute that? How can you distribute the energy? You're 73 years old, man. Up until a couple of months ago, he was saying how he doesn't want to travel anymore, how he wants to stay at home. And now this situation, with Fiji could have offered Ranieri the same job 10 years ago, easy, and they did not. So why now? After Antonio Conte left, they could have gone to Ranieri and said, listen, man, this is what we're offering you. Okay, you just won the Premier League with Leicester. You've made history. Leicester sacked you. It sucks. Here's the national team. But they didn't. Gabriele Gravina could have called him up when Roberto Mancini was sacked. He did not. He went after Luciano Spalletti, which is okay. But now, what are you talking about? Even as a movement, Italian football, there is all this talk about young players, and then who are the young players? Raspadori, Retegui, guys who are 24, 25, 26, 28. So, and your coach is going to be 73. What are we talking about? It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't make sense for Ranieri to consider this. I'm baffled because, in my opinion, this is a stab in the back. I don't like this. I really don't like the idea of Ranieri hiding behind this belief that, oh, I'm going to be there just for Roma. I would not consider coming back from retirement if it wasn't for Roma. Blah blah blah. And now this. For this national team, I understand if we were talking about different circumstances, if we actually had a bright future ahead of us, but there is nothing here. This national team is dead. You have to start from the foundations. You have to find someone who's able to actually read the room, that you envision in a couple of years' time, in 3 years' time, 4 years' time. What do you get with Ranieri? Oh, man. Rumor has it Friedkins allowed Ranieri to go, but in return, the expedited stadium approved. What? There's too many rumors. I can't keep track of all these rumors, guys. I hope this turns into a Dybala situation where Claudio changes his mind and stays with Roma last minute. That'd be cool. The Italian national team dilemma feels like when Sule came to us because of Daniele De Rossi, who then got sacked for match days in. Yes, but like someone said, I could envision Gasperini leaving in the sense that Ranieri was such a big part of this hiring, and even the announcement of Gasperini himself. Look at the pictures. Who's there? Who's the central figure in these pictures? Ghisolfi and Ranieri. So if you're Gasperini and you're looking to have a protector, someone who He even gave an interview to the club, and talked about how important Ranieri is. Uh, and again, it's this thing that we keep finding ourselves in. That whenever there's the feeling that, oh, okay, they got this under control. There is structure, there is a clear plan, there is an idea. Boom, out. Like, why? Oh, we just gave Daniele De Rossi a 3-year contract. Great, we're gonna take a chance on him. We're gonna rejuvenate the squad. Blah blah blah. Gone. Okay. Oh, we're gonna have Gasperini. Well, Gasperini is a bit of a problematic figure in Rome, so let's have Claudio Ranieri act as the senior advisor. Help us, help us with the identity. Help us with trying to sort of find this connection with the fans, to keep it stable, to not have any issues going forward with Gasperini on the sideline. Hey, Andy, if we have to sell Angeliño but keep some of the others, Roma will just have to do it. How about the Pacers getting a game in OKC? Now back to Indiana for game 3. Pacers are incredible, Duncan. I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for the Pacers. So go Pacers, absolutely. But he has love for the country. I don't blame him for being conflicted. I don't blame him for being conflicted. I'm blaming him for saying things leading up to this situation that contradict everything that he might do. Because if you're gonna make an exception for the Italian national team, then don't say that you are retiring from coaching, because you're not. If you're saying that you're going to focus on Roma, then focus on Roma, because this dual role between national team and club is not going to work any favors in the long term. It's just not going to work that way. And also recognize the moment. This is a desperation move by Gravina. Gravina is trying to save his face, because if it wasn't for Ranieri, he'd probably get at best someone like Pioli, and that doesn't really inspire confidence if you're the national team, right? So that would put pressure on Gravina. He's now saving his own ass. Ranieri is not the man for the situation. This situation requires a complete reset of the system. So if you're Ranieri, also consider the context that you're walking into. This is not a national team that will treat you fair and square. This is a rotten organization that is not going to treat you fairly, because they haven't treated you fairly. If they wanted to consider you, they would have considered you a long time ago. If Roma sell Angeliño, Sadiq, Abraham, some more bench players, will Ndika and Sviark stay and have a contract renewal? Hopefully. With Ndika, let's see, because Ndika, I think also tactically, it could be it could be tricky with Gasperini. Maybe Gasperini has different demands with regards to his central defenders. So with Ndika, let's see, because I could envision him going to the Premier League. Imagine Ranieri doing double jobs and him scouting players for Italy. Do you think Lazio are going to let him in the training ground as Roma director? Yeah, I think just the conflict of interest. I mean, the Fijic and everything. How are you going to go out and protect Gasperini, to the media, if you're also the coach of the national team? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. What do you think of Abraham right now? Should we loan him out again, sell him, or keep him? Sell him. Sell him. I mean, I can imagine that Gasperini might give him a go in preseason, but I think also mentally this guy is checked out from Roma, and I don't think he would be open for a spot on the bench. He spent most of the season with Milan on the bench. He wouldn't be happy with that. To the guy who said we have Deadwood in our squad, never seen Steven Nzonzi play. Well, Nzonzi wasn't Deadwood really. He became Deadwood later on. But as I said, Bianda, Choric, guys that we've paid millions for and never played once for the senior team. Ranieri is what Italy need, but selfishly, I want him to stay at Roma. No, he's not what Italy need. He's really not. No. That's the thing. The national team has to start somewhere at the foundation. Ranieri is not the man. he's 73. Let it go. This is not, and it's not, again, because so many old managers have had great careers with the national teams, but they've always had good players for the national team. Who's the good player in this national team? What is this team? What is this team made out of? Who, and if not these guys, then who? Because there's not much choice. We're talking about a failed generation of players. How would you rate Gizofi first season? I think he did a good job. We've spoken about that in the past. I think with the stuff that Roma had to fulfill, with the conflicting ideas that were definitely behind the scenes. As we know now, there was growing influence with Lina Suluku. I think overall he did well, and I like some of the signings in January. I like Devin Wrench, and I like the prospect of potentially signing Gurna Duat on a long term basis. I think this season will be much more challenging for Gizofi, and will tell us a lot about him, because as we know, Roma will not be able to spend the same amount of money as last season. Paredes is going, it seems. Yeah, Paredes always seems like he's going. He could already leave. Honestly, I'm tired of this bullshit. Just go. If you want to go to Boca, just go. And if you're Boca, just pay the money and take him. I'm so tired of, football has a way of working on you. The football on the pitch works on you differently than the football off the pitch. The off the pitch, I think, is much more exhausting. Really, it's even, it's even more exhausting than going up against Lecce or Monza and getting a draw. It's all these rumors, that get repeated or get tweaked around. It's just, stop it. And if you're part of this, make up your mind, buddy. Make up your mind. If you want to go back to Argentina, go back to Argentina. Don't talk about it in every interview. What would you say is the issue with the Italian national team? To me, it seems like some deep-rooted problem. Not just, no, it's everything. It's everything. It's everything. It's like, it's an idea. It's like how these guys play. It's where they play. It's what we consider young players. Again, Yamal prays for the national team. He's fucking 17 years old, right? Try and envision a 17-year-old playing for this national team, and also try and envision that kind of talent. We don't have that. Italy right now, there is nothing of that kind, of that sort. There are some excellent players in Serie B. There's Pio Esposito, who was on loan at Spezia, belongs to Inter, fantastic player. But where are those guys? When are we going to take a chance on them? And if we do we have the right context to make them succeed, or are we just going to take a big fat crap on them and then just move on, blame it on the young and experienced players? No, I think fundamentally there is just something wrong in terms of recruitment, in terms of the work being done on basically every level. The Primavera, everything. And this crop of players is, wow, makes you really appreciate the work done by Roberto Mancini, because Roberto Mancini, I don't know if it was the staff that he picked or whatever it was, but he had these same boys playing like hell. Like with Roberto Mancini, these guys believed in a result no matter what. They were in the most brilliant, they were in the most technical, and yet every time they went on the field, you felt like, oh, this Italy has a chance to surprise us. Gasperini being only 6 years younger than Ranieri somehow seems wrong. Yeah, he's 67. Don't you think it's the same with Angeliño? Good signing, key player over the course of the last 18 months, and the wind blows and he's sold. No, I don't think so, because Angeliño was always going to be gone. Angeliño, again, he's not the type of player who stays. Angeliño is the type of player that if you approach him with a good contract, he's leaving. And Roma, if they're going to give up a player, it's going to be Angeliño. You bought him for 5 million. You're not going to accept 25, 30 million for him? Of course you are. Otherwise, you might have to say goodbye to someone like Sviar. Vic, Andy, does Gravina hold a key role at all? How the stadium planning is going? Just wondering. That's a good question. No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't. But you know what? In Italy, you never know. There's a lot of cooks in that kitchen. The Warriors training is in 1 month away, and Ghisolfi hasn't shown he can get buys done quickly. As Daniele De Rossi said, all the players came in August. Okay, but why are we? I mean, okay, yes, preseason starts in July. That's right. Training starts July 10. Transfer window is still not open. Keep your faith. Keep your faith. I would say tackle the problem one by one. Right now, the problem for me is Ranieri, potentially giving up his spot as senior advisor or just trying to handle both things at once, which doesn't make any sense to me. That's, I think, the problem that I would like to focus on right now. Whatever Ghisolfi does, we will judge it by the end of this window, like we always do. I can see Ranieri calling up more Lazio players than Roma. That would be awesome. Abraham, Cristante, Pellegrini, Kumbulla, Hermoso, Darbo, Zaleski, all Deadwood. Yeah, that's nothing. Also, no, Cristante, Pellegrini, that's not Deadwood. You're naming players who are with the first team, who are regular members of the first team. I would agree that Hermoso, Darbo, Zaleski, Abraham, sure. Kumbulla, not so sure. Kumbulla's had an excellent season in Espanyol. I can actually imagine him getting a chance under Gasperini. So again, this is not Deadwood. This is also not that much. If you really consider what we had as Deadwood a couple of years ago, boy, that's Deadwood. Italy needs a manager similar to De La Fuente at Spain, fully involved in the youth setup that helped those teams do well in the major youth tournament. Spot on. It's spot on. Yeah, spot on. There has to be a closer link between the youth sector, the first teams. I mean, again, so many players that we consider young, even in our Primavera, those are 20-year-old guys. And if you put them in a Serie A match, they're crap. They can't do anything. They can't even string two passes together. But they're 20 years old and they've played for years in the Primavera. So supposedly they should be ready. Maybe introducing exactly, under 23 teams like Juve have, like Milan have, although Milan's project is not going as well. They've just gotten relegated, but maybe that can help bridge that gap in quality. Salik had a solid season, but I can't really imagine him doing well under Gasperini. Let's see. It's a strange situation with Salik because I agree. He surprised a lot of us. When Roma turned the season around, it was primarily thanks to Salik. Salik was there for us, and when he went down and Hummels had to play, well, we all know what happened next. He's had proposals from Turkey and even the Premier League, so we'll have to see what happens next. Can you please talk a bit more about the UEFA lifting the spending limits next year? Is it 100% certain or something needs to happen? Listen, I can't tell you anything for certain because I was sure of having read that Roma had signed a settlement agreement until 2027. And if I'm not mistaken, that was something that Thiago Pinto had said in a press conference. Settlement agreement was until 2027. Now, some report came out a couple of weeks ago that the settlement agreement will be lifted. That the restrictions will be lifted in 2026, so a year from now. Now, I don't know how true that is, but we have to imagine that sometime within the next 2 years, the restrictions might be lifted and Roma might be able to breathe some more. Right now, don't get your hopes up. One day at a time. We feel your pain, Andy. If Ranieri leaves, all of us will feel betrayed. I do not think he will leave, and I don't think a manager can fix the problem. I mean, disappointed and also angry, just angry at this situation because as some of you have said, it's always something. It's always something, and in this moment, it's not something that you need. Even the fact that Sky Sport have to go out of their way and ask Gasperini about this pisses me off because he should not be answering this kind of question. Hi, Andy. Every time things seem to get on an interesting direction, something happens. Now Gasp isn't going to be too happy. Yep. Edin is Deadwood, Saud Deadwood. I wouldn't label Edin Deadwood. Let's see. But yeah, nowhere near the Monchi mess. However, Ghisolfi's no Pinto hasn't brought in one quality player for free like Pinto did. Okay, but what do we get out of this constant comparison? Once an executive's time is up, then let's judge the work. I mean, we're talking about Pinto, who I'm a big fan, did incredible work while everybody was criticizing him. So now what? Now everybody's praising him. I don't get it. Let's wait. Let's see. Let's give people a chance. What happened to that? Everybody is in such a hurry, including Ranieri, who's in such a hurry to consider this Italy job. Crazy. Santon Pastore Gerson enters the chat to Deadwood, and so many others. So many others. I mean, even Justin Clivert became Deadwood. I mean, that's a Deadwood. That's a player who you sent out on loan 3 times in a row. Gotta go, Germanicus. Thank you. Let's get to 2,000 subs later. Yes, thank you so much, Germanicus. I'll also be wrapping up this live stream because I think this situation is frustrating on so many levels. You release a statement a couple of days ago, reiterating what is important to you, and the Friedkins say how the new badge will be replaced by the old crest. So the old crest is coming back because Roma want to be closer to the traditional identity, also ahead of the centenary. That's the idea. There is also talk of the stadium being still on the club's agenda, on the forefront. Gasperini being a manager who embodies the kind of style, tactics, everything that Roma want to be about. They want to have entertaining football. They want to have good ideas for the future. Ghisolfi, a young sporting director who still has a lot to show in this league, and then Ranieri, the wise old man who is here to lead us through thick and thin. Um, and what? 2 days later, everything's changed. 2 days later, you are giving up on this. 2 days later, you are talking about Ranieri splitting his time between the national team and Roma. Where's the consistency again? That's the thing. It's an art form, guys. It's an art form. Consistency. What Atalanta have been able to do with Gasperini for so many years is stay consistent. Um, it is one thing to talk about it. It is another thing to do it. It will be up to Roma. It will be up to the Friedkins to show that they mean business. When they talk about consistency, they have to show that they mean business. The whole situation goes against that. I'm not a fan. But anyway, despite this, guys, thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. Um, Go and enjoy the Italian national team. Let's see what happens. And in the meantime, subscribe, because this is, if I'm gonna go live again, this is where you get the notifications. As I mentioned at the start of this live stream, we hope to be back with John back on the podcast by the end of this month. So keep your fingers crossed that we can make that happen. In the meantime, thank you so much for supporting us. It really means the world. As always, guys, Forza Roma, and until next time, ciao.